What's going on, guys? It's Robert Hall and it is Saturday, almost 11 p.m. So naturally I'm in my studio doing a light output test. Now the reason I'm in here is next week I have a shoot where the goal is to throw as high powered of light as possible a really far distance in some really demanding conditions. Now, I already know that my most powerful flash is the Godox AD1200 Pro, aka the Flashpoint Xplor 1200 Pro. And that's what I've got right here, the Flashpoint Xplor 1200 Pro, and I've got the power pack down here. And I need to find out which modifier I own is going to give me the most output of light over a dramatic distance, which means I need to keep that light concentrated. Now, I've talked about this in other videos. A normal run-of-the-mill softbox is going to cast a very wide pattern of light. A beauty dish casts a wide pattern of light. An umbrella casts a wide pattern of light. And even to a degree, this stock reflector that comes with the 1200 Pro is going to cast a wide pattern of light. So I've brought a few options to try out to see which one is going to be my best choice. Now, the first and I think most interesting one is this. This is the reflector for the Godox VL300, and obviously it's designed for an LED. It's designed for a different type of light source, but I'm curious because this works so well at amplifying the power of the VL300. I'm curious how that's going to translate to a omnidirectional bulb on the AD1200 Pro. Now, my first thought was this. This is a Cheetah Colt 45 long throw reflector. So it's designed to concentrate the light into a 45-degree beam, and we'll see how that compares to both the stock reflector as well as the VL reflector. Now, there's also a glow reflector that is pretty much the identical design to this one, designed to concentrate the light into a 45-degree pattern. And then I've got this, a 20-inch deep para softbox, which I know what you're thinking. A softbox doesn't sound like the best idea here, but somebody actually told me that they metered this and it was more powerful over a distance than the Cheetah Colt 45, which I have no reason to believe that they're wrong considering they provided metered samples. Like, it sounds like they went out and did the test to check it out for me, but that just baffles me just because this is simply a good deal larger of a surface area, and it just doesn't seem as well optimized for concentrating light. So yeah, we'll try that one out. The last thing that I want to try out is this. This is a Fresnel Head. Now, I have the Aperture 2X Fresnel, which would be my first choice. However, there is a rear lens on the Aperture Fresnel 2X, and that prevents it from being used with a big omnidirectional bulb like is on the AD1200 Pro. So this is a kind of similar but different. It's not quite a Fresnel because if you see, the front pattern is different than a Fresnel, but it still allows for zooming and it's still designed to concentrate light. So we'll see with this thing maxed out at its tightest pattern, how that stacks up versus everything else. So I've got my Sekonic L858DU light meter all the way over there, and ooh, I need a trigger. And I didn't bring my camera bag. Ahaha. Always be prepared with backups. I almost forgot that we have triggers that we keep in the studio. There's one X1T for every brand, just in case somebody happens to need one. And then I've actually got this R2T Mark II for Sony, so this will work. It doesn't actually matter what brand it is. Now, I definitely don't need to fire at full power here because, well, I'm just getting relative comparisons between the lights. But I mean, I've got the 1200 Pro, I'm gonna do it anyways. Now, normally if I'm doing a modifier comparison, I try to keep the front of the modifier the same in every photo because normally you're trying to keep your light modifier maybe just out of frame. But in this instance, I'm not gonna move the light at all because for my shoot at least, I'm not going to be able to get the light any closer. So the light is just gonna be stuck where it is and the front of the modifier is going to change. So we're just gonna do it in those circumstances. First thing, stock modifier, we've got 1/250th of a second, ISO 100. All right, we got f11.3, f11 and 3/10 of a stop from the stock reflector. I think this will be second best. I think it'll be a little bit brighter. This is the VL300 reflector. I don't think this is gonna be much more than the regular reflector. It could even be less because it's just not designed for it. Oh, I'm wrong. F16 and 1/10 of a stop. Holy, that is 8/10 of a stop brighter just off a different reflector. They should have included this reflector in this design. So I know some people wanted that information too. This reflector is way more powerful than the stock reflector that comes with it. So this one, a little bit sleeker of a design, but this one, almost a full stop more powerful, 8/10 of a stop. Okay, so now I feel like I'm wrong about this one. I feel like there's no way that this is gonna be more than a stop powerful than the stock reflector. But yeah, basically just wanna make sure that I am concentrating this as much as possible. Oops. I don't know that the flash pattern is going to be identical here because right now it's using a COB LED projecting it, but an omnidirectional bulb I think is going to be, I think it's going to waste a lot more light. So let's see here. Didn't even feel as bright. Yep. We're back down to F11 and 9/10 of a stop. So this one is going to restrict the area of light that it hits, but I'm guessing that a lot of that light is just bouncing around inside the modifier. So that reflector on the VL300 reflector is probably a lot more efficient of a modifier, to be honest. Now originally I thought this would be the best bet, but now I just don't know with that VL300 reflector. That might be the ticket. That's pretty bright. Oh, wow. Now I'm getting F16 and 8/10 of a stop or F16 and 9/10 of a stop. Either way, that is the brightest so far. So that is really impressive. Now I think even if this softbox happens to be brighter than this, I still think I'm gonna go with this because it's gonna be pretty windy out with what we're doing, or there's gonna be a lot of drag. So this just might not cut it out there. All right, 20-inch softbox test. Here we go. There's no diffusion, no inner diffusion, no outer diffusion, no beauty dish plate, just empty softbox. He was right. F22 and 4/10 of a stop. We are now more than 2 full stops above what we started with that stock reflector, and that is insane. Whew. That's 6/10 more of a stop than even the Colt 45 reflector. So I gotta bring this to at least try it out there. I don't know if it's gonna work, but if I can make it work, then I'll use it. Whoa, 200 IQ tape measure. 11 feet and 11 inches. Okay, so if you're trying to throw the highest output of light possible, or maybe just light going a really long distance, hopefully now you have a read on some good options or what's gonna be the best option for you. The one thing I'll say here is that I don't think this is gonna be a really good option, because if you saw from the LED pattern, it puts the light into a very tight pattern, whereas all of these other ones over a big distance, like 15 feet, they're still gonna light up a significantly wider area. So yeah, if this was the most powerful, maybe we'd consider it, but since the other ones were all more powerful, it doesn't really make sense to use this at all. Also, while researching this topic online, I came across a modifier called the Retro Laser by Paul C. Buff. Unfortunately, it's been discontinued for a really long time, but there were some really compelling comparisons out there that showed it being a complete beast for something like this. So A, if you have a retro laser that you're willing to sell, I'll buy it. And B, if you can manage to get your hands on one, that might be a really good option for you. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe if you want to see more of my videos. Leave any questions in the comments below. And until next time, keep on shooting.